So this course is going to kind of just walk through setting up an activity in Seesaw. So we're going to go up to our add button and assign an activity. And for those of you already using Seesaw, we know that there's a ton of amazing stuff in that community library that you can just assign as is, or you can edit it and tweak it a little bit to make it your own. So that's definitely a great resource that I'm sure many of you are using. We also have our school and district one, where you can see things that people from right here in South Bay are creating. But today we're going to create our own. And we do that in the My Library tab, and then just create a new activity. You always want to give it some sort of a name. So for today, I just want to try and show you a lot of the different kind of tools that you can use within Seesaw. So we're just going to create a math activity. And then I typically come back and do the instructions at the end after I've created it. You can add in multimedia instructions or an example here. So that can be things like if maybe you want them to watch a YouTube video before they're completing their assignment, this would be a really good spot to put that in. Maybe if they're doing some sort of a writing assignment and you have done like a shared writing in class, you could take a picture of it and include that as an example here. Just so you know, if you don't end up putting anything here, it will still populate with a picture. For an example, it'll just populate the template that you end up creating. So right now we're going to go ahead and add a template. And this is where you've got a lot of different options. Right now, we're going to focus on the drawing canvas because within drawing, you can do most of these things. You can add a photo, you can add a video, you can even add a link. So when we open up our drawing canvas, it looks like this, a nice blank canvas. And we've got a lot of different tools that we can explore and use in order to create something for the students to do their work on. So our three dots down here at the bottom have a lot of options for us. We can be adding in shapes, backgrounds, and in a bit we'll talk about links and even voice. It's always nice to set some sort of a background color. They've got a lot of different options. If you're doing something that may be involving some writing or even some math work, we've got some different options down at the bottom. So we'll go ahead and just select a background. Again, with those three dots. So we just looked at background. Another really helpful thing are the different shapes that you can add into the canvas. They have a ton of different options. You can change color and size on all of them. Even some of our operations are in here, or music teachers can use things. But just to show you how easy it is to add in the shapes, you're just clicking on them and they're going to insert right in there for you. One thing that's really nice about Seesaw is you can still use things like copy and paste. So right now, while I've got like the hundreds block selected, I can do Control-C in order to copy it. And then I could do Control-V multiple times and make as many of this shape that I want to really easily. Another way to do that is to click on the three dots of the actual shape and you can duplicate it, but it's a lot more efficient and just quicker to use the copy and paste. So we could create an activity like this to maybe have our students building a number if you were in primary grades. So just gonna make a few more here. Okay, but again, we've got lots of different shapes that you guys can work with. This is just one example. You can use the text box up here is going to create a text box where you can add in any information that you want. So maybe on this page, we want the students to build a model of a particular number. Anytime that you have the dots selected around anything, that's when you can change it. So we can change sizes of things, we can stretch them out, we can even change the color or the style of it. So if we come up to style, we've got different fonts that we can select from. You can even fill it in as a solid color or make it where there's no text box around it at all and it's just the words. You can also make it so that it's centered or all the way to the left or the right. So kind of fun to just come in and explore with some different options that they have here. If you're wanting your students to do some sort of a work, you can also create kind of like a little work mat for them. So if we had some shapes here, we could create a spot for them where they're going to actually like build this model. Again, anytime that you've got the white dots all the way around it, it's going to be able to be adjusted. And maybe we want them to build their mat or build their number right here on this working mat. Now, if I were to drag over one of these shapes right now, it's going to end up behind my working mat. So one thing you would want to make sure that you do is to go in and select the order. You can bring things to the front or send them to the back. So I'm going to send this work mat to the back. And that way, when I drag things over, it's going to show up on top of it. Now, let's say that we wanted them to have a little bit of support. Maybe we want them to watch a video on place value before we have them doing this activity. You can easily grab links from YouTube. So let's say we just wanted one on maybe place value. And you can add in any links from YouTube into Seesaw. And because it's being done, so all I've done is just copy it. Now I'm going to come to my three dots, click on the link, and I can do Control V in order to paste that link in there. One of the nice things about Seesaw is they have updated, so you can put in multiple links on a single page now. You can only put one video. So if you were going to use the camera and maybe use a video to record yourself doing a mini lesson, you could only do one video on a page, but you can have multiple links. So you could have this one here and then even record your own video on like Screencastify, something like that, upload it to YouTube and then put the link in that way. So it's up to, I think it's 10 different links that you can have on a single page. Now, if you wanted more than one video in an assignment, you can always come down here and add a page, and then you would be able to add additional videos on all of the pages. Now, let's say, for example, you wanted them to do more work than just building one model on this page. If there's a template that you've created and you want it to be done multiple times, over here on the actual page where we have the three dots, you can click on those three dots and you can just duplicate a page. And we can see now that we have it again. This is really helpful because now I could go in and I could just change maybe the number that they're going to create, but everything else is already here and created for me. Okay, so we have covered shapes, background, adding in links. One of the brand new features that just came out within like the past couple of weeks is you can now use voice on anything at all that is on your Seesaw page or on the template here. So if I click on it from here, from the three dots, it's going to automatically come up with a little box that says listen. You could keep that and record your voice. You can also change that out. One thing I've seen some people do is they will just kind of get rid of maybe the text there and add in an emoji, something like that. If you're on your iPad, you can do that easily with just the emojis that are on there. If you're on your computer, there's extensions, for example, like the emoji keyboard. And you might add in like an ear to show you want your kids to listen, or maybe the speaker, something like that. and then you can paste that in. So it's really helpful to kind of have something that's the same that your students know to always look for and kind of train them. Every time that you see the speaker, you know that you're going to play that and listen for directions. And all you have to, so that's this option. If you're just clicking voice, you would record your voice. I didn't do it quick enough, so it deleted from me, but you can see it's coming up again. I would click check. And then what it creates is a little speaker button here on the side of it for you, for the students to be able to play and listen to it. Another way that you can add voice in is on any of the shapes or any text box that is actually on the page. So this is really helpful for like our younger learners that are maybe not able to read all of the directions. For example, I've got a text box here. I can click on it, click the 3 dots, choose voice, and I can now record my voice of what this text says. Today, you're going to build a model of 178. So now when the students come in, they don't really need that additional support of trying to, get a grown-up to help them read it. They can just come in and they can actually click on the audio and listen to it themselves. So that's a brand new feature that's been really, really helpful. Another brand new feature that they just came out with is you can now lock the size of things. So for example, if our kiddos are dragging over these base 10 blocks and they're doing it maybe on their iPad, it's really easy for them to accidentally resize it and suddenly they have this gigantic shape that's taking up their whole page. We don't want to lock it in place because then they can't drag it. But if we go to our 3 dots, you'll see now that when we lock things, we don't just have the option to lock all. You can actually lock the size of things. So I'm going to lock the size of this and you'll see I can still move it around, but it's no longer getting gigantic or really tiny. This is really helpful if you're doing kind of like some word sorts, things like that, where you want the students to be able to move things around without resizing them. So those are 2 nice new features that Seesaw has just come out with. Now, you might want to be able to actually show the students what you want them to do. You want more than maybe just listening to like build a model of 178. So a really helpful tool for that is if we come over to the microphone, we can actually record ourselves. And once you have the microphone selected, if you click on the arrow here, it's going to let you point to things. So you might say like, today, boys and girls, I want you to watch the video first. Then I want you to look at the number you're going to build. On this page, you'll build 178. Make sure that you grab the base 10 blocks and drag them onto the work mat. Okay, so that way the kids are actually kind of seeing what I'm expecting them to do. But you'll notice when I do that, I have a big giant play button in the middle of my page, and the kids would no longer be able to do anything on this page because it's just a recording. So this is one of my favorite tips is you can come down to the bottom corner and all I'm going to do is click and drag. And you will see now that I have the white dots. I can actually take this recording and shrink it so that my students have a little video that they can watch on this page. Usually when I do that, I like to change the other background color just so it shows up a little bit better. And so now you can have your kids trained that anytime they see this play button, that means that there's going to be some sort of directions for them to not only listen to, but to also watch. If you're using the microphone across multiple pages, it also does something else really cool. So let's just say, for example, that maybe on this page, we didn't want them building it. Maybe we wanted them creating, maybe they're going to show it in expanded form. And we can duplicate this box, and maybe you also want them to show it in another way, maybe say word form. Sorry, can you tell I'm nervous? Okay, so now we've got multiple pages, right? We want the students starting on this page, completing some work. They're doing something here. They're doing something else here. I just noticed my first page got moved. So you can just readjust the order of them by just clicking and dragging. Okay, but on this last page, they were going to do something different. So here's another really helpful tool with the microphone. We click on the microphone. I'm going to start yet another recording. Again, I want to grab my arrow. Boys and girls, make sure that you press the play button in order to listen to the directions. Once you've completed your work on this page and on page 2, don't forget to go to page 3 and show me the numbers in expanded form and in word form. So now you'll see that I was switching amongst different pages as I was recording that time. Anytime you record across multiple pages, it's going to actually create one brand new page for you. So I'm going to click OK. You'll see that these were the original pages that I made, but now this first page here is that recording. Again, I want to grab my arrow where I'm going through the multiple pages and showing the entire activity. Okay. So obviously I would never have them get an assignment that looks messy like this. I'm just trying to show you kind of all of the different tools and options that you have in order to create with. We've looked at text box, we've looked at the microphone, everything that's in the 3 links. The other option would be if you want to upload any photos that you have, or you can also record a video of yourself directly into Seesaw. It just has to be 5 minutes or less. So it makes for really efficient mini lessons because it'll cut you off right at 5 minutes. I can't show that because obviously my camera is being used for the Zoom right now. But just know that those options are there for you, or you can upload a video as well. So once you have your activity created and you want to assign it to your students, you're going to click that green check. This is when you can go back in and you can type instructions for your students. One thing that you've probably seen is a lot of times people are including the little icons or the little pictures. So maybe if you want your students to use the microphone to explain their thinking, you can use the codes, like Mike has the 2 dots on either side to record your thinking. And if you do just a quick Google search of Seesaw icons, you will see a ton of them. At the end, I will share this with you that just has a list of the Seesaw icon shortcuts, where it has kind of the different pictures that can be used so that you can give your students directions in just picture form rather than typing everything out for them. So I'll share that at the end. It's also got just some other shortcuts for when you're in there as well. If you don't want to always be clicking on the 3 dots, you can use some of those shortcuts as well. Always a good idea to add in voice instructions. And then you are ready to save your activity and assign it to your students. So that's one way to create an activity. Now, we talked about the fact that if you go in to create a new activity and you select the drawing, we were able to add in photos, add in videos, add in links, all within that one. So that's why I tend to go directly there, because all the other options are there other than note. A lot of times the students tend to use the notes if you don't give them a template and maybe they're doing some sort of writing. But another really great option is to upload things as an activity. So if we go to upload, you've got 2 different options. You can select items from your computer that are saved, or you can select from Google Drive. So sometimes it's a lot easier to create something in maybe Google Slides and be able to then just share it into Seesaw that way. So maybe if we wanted to do, I've got some that are already like templates that are created that we use on a regular basis, like our number of the day. I can pull it up. Usually it doesn't take this long. We'll see if we can just find something that we could put in. Oh, here's one. So you can select it. And then it's going to upload it directly into Seesaw for you. Remembering that you could still add in, we would have to unlock it first, but you could still add in some directions for them at this point by recording your voice. Do your work nicely, please, whatever you're going to say to them. You will notice that it ends up down here in the corner, which sometimes can be a little bit hard for the kids to see. Some workarounds around this are I could resize this to maybe just make it a little bit smaller. And maybe train my students that every time they see the star, that means that there's going to be directions for them to listen to. So I could record directly into the star. You could also copy and paste your Bitmoji in there. That's been a popular thing for some teachers to use, and it makes it kind of fun for the kids. So you could just have them trained that whenever you see my Bitmoji, you're going to want to listen to the directions there. The only thing is you'll notice how big the box kind of becomes. So if I record, my audio button's going to end up way over here. You might choose to just add in maybe a speech bubble and do your recording on that instead. You would do your recording, click the green check, and now you can see that the recording audio is a lot closer. I can even move it around in order to kind of have it where it's a little bit easier for the students to see it rather than hidden down here in the corner. So just some fun ways to kind of explain directions to your students and be able to have them listen in. So that's uploading something from Google Drive if you've created something there. You can also upload and select anything at all from your computer. So if you've got something that's in your documents or uploaded, I think this is something, yeah, from like reading A to Z. You can save things from there and then add it in that way. These are nice if you're putting in, if you're maybe saving one of the stories from Raz Kids and having your kids read it, and then you could add in maybe a template for them to be able to do their work as their template. So you could put the story, go back. You could put the story that you want them reading as the example. And then you could add the template where they're actually showing, you know, what they read, what they learned, what they remembered as the template for them to actually do their work on. That way you're not having to click through all the pages of the story that they're reading in order to get to that final template. Okay, so that is just a really quick kind of run through on how to create activities in Seesaw, either with the drawing canvas or uploading from your computer or from your Google Drive. I did try to leave some time for some questions. So if you have any questions, and I will check the chat box. Oh, you guys are all so nice. Thank you. Cindy, go ahead. Yes.
I came in a little bit late and I missed where you got the base 10. Yeah,
absolutely. So when we're creating a new activity, again, you can always name it, add in your directions.
Yeah, I got all that.
When you add in your student template in drawing, all of your tools are here. And if you click on the 3 dots, there's all different shapes that you can select from. And the base 10 blocks are just one of many.
Okay. All right, thank you. Perfect.
You're very welcome. And then we have our tools down here as well. That's really more that the kids end up using those more than the teacher does. Sometimes when you put things, when you upload things in, I don't have anything here, but sometimes the tools will cover it up. Just so you know, if you click on this square up here at the top, that will remove them. So I know sometimes my students like write all the way down to the bottom and I can't quite see it, but if you just click on that, it will remove the tools, and then you click on the pen to have them come up again. Another favorite thing that my students love to do is to send me photos that are really tiny. So you can always click on the plus, the magnifier, and it will zoom in on their work so that you can see it a little bit better.
Katie, I have a quick question for you.
Yes.
I think you use this with the voice feature, but when you recorded your voice, there was a big arrow. Did I get that right? Is that only with the voice feature?
With so if let me just put a shape in so I can like record something here. So with the voice recording, the only thing that comes up, so I'm going to record voice. You can also upload audio. So that's great if you've got like music or something on your computer you want the kids to listen to. But recording voice, I'm going to go ahead and record, click the check when I'm done. The only thing that comes up is this tiny little recording button.
Oh,
so
okay.
What I tend to do, my favorite shape is the arrow. I always am creating arrows for my kids where I'm like, that's what you need to click on, listen to the audio. If I'm sharing maybe a link for a YouTube video, I'll point an arrow to it. So you might have seen something where I just put one in, but recording it doesn't make one, it doesn't make an arrow for you. That would be something you would add in.
Oh, I think maybe it was one where you were explaining how to.
So are you thinking of maybe the play button would look like? Sorry, I'm just trying to think of what you saw. So here I'm recording on one page.
Yeah.
As soon as I'm done recording, this is where, is this the arrow you meant? Like
no, there was like this big, I'm not quite sure. I guess I'll just rewind what.
Yeah, or if
I looked on my phone for a split second and then I saw you do it. I'm like, whoa, how does she do that?
See, that's what happens when you're not paying attention, Mac. I'm just kidding.
I don't know, but you were explaining kids. I know, I'm not paying attention. You were like explaining, totally do slide one first. Yeah.
Oh, I know what you mean. Okay, I got you now.
When you do, yeah.
I got you. So if you start, anytime you're recording, you can click this arrow here, and then when you click with your mouse, you can point to different things. That's the arrow you meant. Thank you.
Yeah, that's what I got it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so it only shows up as a tool when you're recording with the microphone, and then you can point to things and kind of explain things.
Got it. Okay.
Any other questions? And make sure you're doing the survey.
You had talked about the emojis. Can you show us that before we leave?
Yes. So if you're creating I tend to create my assignments on the computer. It's just a little bit easier for me. But if you want to add in emojis, a lot of times I'll like create the whole activity on my computer and then just go on my iPad and edit, because the iPad has all of the emojis. If you're doing the whole thing on your computer, this is just an extension that I downloaded. That's the emoji keyboard by Joey Pixels. And then that one will come up and you can search for pretty much anything at all and be able to include an emoji. So like even that would even be something, oops, that I could do Control V and just paste it right in. Because it's now a thing, pretty much anything that's on your canvas, you can add recording to. So you could even add voice to that. You could lock the size of it, lock it in position, whatever you want to do. Was that the emoji you meant, Lori?
Yes, I've been trying to figure out how to put the mic icon and the different things on there for the kids to see. Wow,
right,
adding stuff.
Yeah, and a lot of times I'll do that too, where I just ended up saving to my camera or to like my pictures,
Mhm.
just a camera and a microphone. So if I want them to do something like record themselves, I'll kind of just add, oh, that's not the one. I should have a transparent one, but you can also just like Google an image and do it that way, just for those like visual clues. Did you, and then is this what you meant to on this microphone?
Yes,
I
yes.
said I would share that with you guys. Let me put it in the chat box for anybody still here.